Hey everybody, hey everyone. Welcome to the show. I'm going to try to do this right uh for the third time. I'm Alicia Taylor because sometimes I'll be using this hand because and welcome to the Betterism Podcast. I have a new guest, a special guest. This is somebody that I actually met in the health community, like the Fruit Up health community online. His name is Nigel Fitzgerald, and he is the CEO of Natural Living. He is an herbalist. He is a health educator. He has amazing content. He has a robust uh, subscriber list or supporters because of the quality of the information that he provides. And I am grateful to have ran into him. And I think you guys are going to really enjoy this conversation that we're going to have because we're going to get into almost obviously all things health related. But at the same time, we like to be conscious and we like to be aware and we like to be in tuned on what goes on in the world. So it doesn't, we'll just get into it. I'm going to introduce him. He's going to introduce himself to you guys. And thank you for joining. Share the show so that everybody can benefit from this discussion. And I'm going to bring him on right now. And are you unmuted?
Yep, you can hear me?
All right. Yes. Hi, Nigel. How are you?
Good. How you doing? Thank you for having me.
I'm well. Thank you for coming. I appreciate it.
Right.
I really enjoy having these discussions because I feel like, number one, what we do, we don't have to do. Like, we could just be living our best lives. We could be making great choices for ourselves, benefiting ourselves, and just moving on with our lives and accomplishing our own goals and all of that. But not only do we do that, but us being better versions of ourselves, excuse me, we in turn inspire others to become the best version of themselves. So when we share, it is like we are, I like to say we're like satellites, almost like individual satellites who send out signals to those who are also on the same frequency, or at least want to be on the same frequency. And we live in a sick world, right? There's so much sickness. The medical industrial complex is supposed to be there for people who are sick, but in my opinion, they're keeping people sick and they're providing information that keep them sick. So I feel like we're like the counterculture, where we're out here living the exact opposite natural living.
Yes.
And yeah, like we're just on the opposite end, kind of spreading the light and boosting the energy and the vibration because there's a way bigger entity and agenda to keep it down.
Yes, it is.
So, anyways, before we get deeper into that, I just want you to introduce yourself to the audience. Let them know who Nigel Fitzgerald is.
What's going on, family? I'm the CEO of Natural Living. That is my company. I'm a certified herbalist. I teach health educator. I create content. I create content every single day and give tips and insight on health. I analyze and I really think. So when I take in information, I I I basically know how to break things down in a way where people can understand it. And just from my own experiences and my own journey, I want to go and help others and teach others. And I found out that was my purpose here to do.
Beautiful. I love how I watched you and Bobby's interview like I think it was like back in like February or March of this year, and you said that like you're a servant. Ultimately your mission is just to help people uh become best versions of themselves, to be a cleaner version of themselves, a clearer version of themselves, to have more self-awareness, to heal themselves, whether that is emotionally, spiritually, physically, obviously with the food, and just being more mindful of that. And I love that. I love that.
Yeah,
So
it's something that's been in me since a child. I always like anybody who asked me what I wanted to do, it was help people. I always wanted to help people. So the first thing I thought was to be a doctor. That was the only thing that I knew, was to be a doctor. I didn't know anything about being a herbalist. So that was something I told people until I got older and wanted to go to school, and seeing how long you got to go to school to be a doctor. So I kind of just, it was always my passion to help people. And until I started helping myself in the way I felt, I wanted everybody to feel the way I felt. So yeah.
Yeah, that's dope. And I mean, yes, like our first instinct is okay, I want to be a doctor because I want to help people heal. And that is, it's very well intended. And it's still also something, honestly, that you could do. You can just go, you could be a naturopathic doctor, or, like we all have our own unique ways of being able to serve in the community. However, I would feel like now, like with our level of awareness, like we know too much about how people are taken care of in hospitals, like this the heavy usage of pharmaceuticals, all these chemicals, and it's a lot of suppression of symptoms rather than getting to the root cause. So it's like I almost feel like it's best to be self-taught about the human body, about herbs and how they correspond with the different organ systems in our body, and to just have awareness in that sense in a more natural way, or a more naturopathic way of healing versus allopathic way of healing,
Hmm.
because you're going to be less controlled. I feel like you wouldn't even really be able to practice medicine how you would want to practice in the most effective way in that institution, like in that system,
Right.
because they're going to keep you're going to be under the guidance of a medical board. And so if you are actually healing people, they would be reviewing you based on that, because like everything is so backwards.
Yeah. Even if they wanted to actually help you and heal you, they follow a protocol that they have to do. So, and these people that actually owns the hospitals, they don't want to heal. The whole point is to get you back in the hospital so they could keep making money off you. So even if they want to help you, they just physically can't do it. And a lot of these doctors, they don't take nutrition classes. They don't have any education in nutrition. And a lot of doctors will tell you this. They have videos of plenty of doctors saying how they didn't know anything about nutrition at all. So that's that's who we put our trust in. And I hate when people put their trust in doctors, because we shouldn't trust doctors at all, honestly. Only time we should want to go to a doctor is when we need surgery, when we have to get emergency surgery. That's it. Other than that, we should be educating ourselves when it comes to health.
Facts. Like I always say that, okay, I get in a major car accident, bet. I get shot, bet. Take me to your best surgeon, help stabilize
Exactly.
me, get me back to balance so that I could go home in one piece as much as possible to get to this natural healing. So I can start
Hmm.
fasting and regenerating my body, because I have a completely different understanding or understanding of how the human vessel works. And you're right when you say like people have to stop putting so much trust into these doctors. We literally will delegate the most important thing of our existence, which is our health. It's us who has to occupy the vessel. And we think we're our bodies, and that's where we get it messed up at. We are our spirits. Our spirits is really in the driver's seat.
Yeah.
Our bodies is just an avatar, it's a vessel, it's a way for us as gods, versions of God, to express itself in this form. The body expires, but the spirit does not. The spirit continues to go on. And that's why, like, it's interesting to me. It's like expire means you just stopped breathing. Respire, where it's like a recycle of the breath in the body. But once we expire, that just means the spirit is no longer in the vessel. So we are actually the spirit. It's the spirit that gives the body life.
Yeah,
So
and as a spirit, the body was the only thing that you came here with. When you came to experience this, you only came here with the body. And people don't take care of their bodies or even pay attention to their bodies. And that's the only thing we came here with. So how could you live the life you want to live if you're not taking care of your body? it won't work.
Nope. And to delegate the responsibility of keeping it alive to an outsider who really doesn't know you and need all of this personal information from you in order for them to even like give you a diagnosis or to treat you in whatever capacity with their drugs that's supposed to be created for whatever health issue you have. And a lot of the drugs are actually just derivatives of plants at the end of the day. The same plants that are using herbs are just using their raw form. But because you can't monetize nature for real, they have to take a derivative of that because they know it is an active ingredient that will provide some level of relief or whatever for the client, but they're putting it in a petroleum based product so that because they can patent that and they can continue to make money off of it. And doctors, you'll wipe out a whole industry if people were aware on how their body actually works and how they can actually heal themselves. Like, I feel like the medical industry chops the body up into different systems instead of seeing it as one whole thing so that they can literally monetize off of every aspect of our bodies. You know, like you have the eye industry, like what is that? The eye department, that's like ophthalmology.
You got so many different names. You got so many different names to so much.
Yeah,
so
the
many different
skin. What do they call the skin? A dermatologist. You know, for the bones, they have a orthopedic doctor. For the feet, they have a podiatrist. For the heart, they have a what do they call the heart doctor?
What is it called?
Why is that not?
It's at the tip of my tongue. Hold on.
I know, right? Why this is like the easiest one because so many people are always in heart surgery.
I can't even think of it.
I wonder if the chat can tell us because why is this not coming to me?
Somebody will say it.
Yeah, it don't matter, but you get the point. Like, you know, the renal doctors, a hematologist, you know, they have like no, I think the blood is hematology, and then the kidneys are like the renal doctor. I don't know, but it's just amazing to me how they'll chop the body up so that they can it's cardiologists for the heart. They like to monetize every part of our body so that we can continue to go in there and to confuse us, to overcomplicate health. When in reality, all we need to do is not obstruct our vessel, and it's actually perfectly created as it is.
Yeah, and that's why all of these diseases have so many different names. Some you can barely even pronounce. Some that are actually named after certain doctors who made the medicine for it. So they're named after these certain doctors or these diseases, and they're scientists. Some like they hire scientists to get to take from nature and make sure that this medicine only not heals you, but only, like you said, relieves those symptoms for a certain amount of time until you need it again. So they know the science of our bodies in order to do that.
Yeah. And health is not that complicated. So these doctors would be put out of business if we understood just how simple our bodies actually operate. It's not as complicated as they make it seem, because like you'll go in there with certain symptoms and then they'll be like, oh yeah, well, you go in there with cancer, you get diagnosed with cancer. We don't know how this happened, but we do know that we're going to do our best to treat you. Like because they tell you they don't know because they don't want to get into like the root causology.
Root causology.
That they're eradicating the issue altogether. And then now you don't have a lifelong paying patient. Now you're just like treating and keeping stable until they basically eventually just deteriorate to the point where their spirit can no longer occupy such a deteriorated, downgraded vessel. You know, like our organs operate at certain percentages and it just constantly decreases over time because we're constantly obstructing the body. So I always bring up this formula from Dr. Arnold Ehret, and it's vitality equals power minus obstruction. And I love that because vitality, right? Vitality is us at our healthiest, at our most energized, most energetic, like when we're at our peak. And so that's vitality. And the formula is power minus obstruction, which means that inherently we're already powerful. Like we are perfectly made. We are perfect. We are powerful beings. But when you add obstruction to it, it takes away your personal power. So all we really have to do is stop obstructing the body. We obstruct the body with things that aren't designed to be inside of it. So when we're eating things like hot Cheetos and Doritos and ramen noodles and pizza and burgers and candy and all the, just like these like food like products that aren't designed for the vessel, those are obstructions. So what's keeping you from your vitality and taking away your power is the obstruction. So we think that we have to add on to things to heal, when all we need to do is actually stop adding certain things. And the beauty about natural food that comes from the ground is created by God. The grapes, the peaches, the apples, the berries, the mangoes, those aren't obstructive. They're designed to work with the body, not against it.
And it has everything within this food that we need. And that's why I feel like our body was actually made to make mistakes, because the herbs, that's why herbs were put there for us. And that's why we have the fruit, and it has the minerals in it, has phytonutrients in it, it has all these different components in the same food that we are supposed to be eating. So it made it actually easy for us.
Yeah. It does help. It's interesting though, because I remember Dr. Yaki, um, he was saying how even herbs to an extent are actually like kind of like, I don't know if he used the word poison for the
He
body, but
did, yeah. I remember he was saying that. He was saying they're like they're kind of poison, because like what like the components in the herbs make your body kind of purge. So
Mhm.
like these plants have, and that's where like the phytonutrients come in fruits as well. Like it gives the fruit certain colors, and these are plants like, what's it called, a defense mechanism for the plant, and that's what actually helps our body and cells purge.
So okay. So you're saying the fruits are, and the phytonutrients in the fruit are the defense mechanism for the body, while the herbs are forcing the body to purge certain things. I always found it interesting how like certain herbs are good for certain parts of the body, like to have a level of intelligence to really just kind of be good for like a specific for like organ, like something that's good for the kidneys or something that's good for the liver, like so it's like that's interesting to me because like it just reminds you that all of it is living, it's all alive,
Yeah.
and it all has its own level of intelligence and
Yeah.
a certain vibration.
And that's what
Yeah.
I tell people that all the time. Food is not just food. It is information. It is literally a frequency. So when you put good food, living food in your body, you start to feel like life. You do.
Because we are living people. We can't expect to be living beings putting dead things inside of us
Yeah.
for energy. That is literally an oxymoron.
Yeah. And even when it comes down to certain things, like I thought that were good, like probiotics, like certain stuff like that. Some of that stuff is even still dead stuff that we're putting in our body. It's not actually living. You want to put the most living food you can in your body, the most.
Yeah. And like the gut microbiome is developed by what we consume.
Yeah. And in these natural foods.
Yeah. Like you need and you need a variety of those natural foods
Yes.
too, because that's what keeps us, I guess, like a, I don't even know how to say this, like how, I have it in my brain. I don't know how to, I know that it's good to have like a diverse gut microbiome of all of the natural things, especially if it can be local food, because it's like even like the local soil from where you're standing, it corresponds with your body in a unique way, and it actually
Mhm.
makes it to where your body adapts to your environment so much easier, to where you're less likely to get sick. You're getting antibodies from whatever bacteria or whatever that could be like in that soil or in that food, because you're actually sitting on top of that soil, and you're breathing the air because you're in that geographic
Yeah.
region. It all works together, like the whole, what do they call it, the whole ecological system. It's all just like a cycle of life, and everything works together to keep everybody alive. But I feel like us as human beings have developed like this this ego where we think that we are like the overlords and the controllers of everything, instead of respecting it as its own source of life. It's like
Mhm.
we have to respect the bugs. We have to respect the deers. We have to respect the squirrels. We have to respect the rodents. Like it's
Yeah.
like everything plays its role, so that we can all be in balance, so that we can
Yeah.
all be alive.
Yeah, we're not separate from nature at all. We are literally connected to nature. So we should. I don't. That's why I don't know. I just don't believe in eating animals either.
Oh no, what happened? Well, our guest just, I think, probably got kicked off accidentally, so I'll wait for him. Oh, there he goes.
Yeah, you just
All
went
right.
out. You just went out for a second.
I went out.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. You went out on my end.
I know, and then you like logged out. Okay, we good though. I think we good. We still live.
You
All
good?
right. Yeah. So, well, you were saying how we're all part of
Yeah, I
nature.
just was saying how we have a like a symbiotic relationship with nature. We are nature. So that's why I feel like we shouldn't be eating animals because we have a connection with animals and we're supposed to look at them like friends, like and just nature in general. Like when you grow on your own. I remember a couple years back I made a salad on my own at my grandma's. I used to grow my own food and I made a whole salad with peppers, tomatoes, just lettuce, and I grew it myself, and it just felt different when you ate it. So I can tell the difference when you actually grow your own food and around your own food and attending to it. It's just a whole different feeling.
Yeah, I know that's got to be a rewarding experience, because it's like I'm sure it teaches certain universal principles, like patience for number one. Then you just respecting the process of planting a seed and watering it,
Hmm.
you know, on schedule or every day, just like really having that intent on just being a part of that cycle of life. Like, because talk about seeds real quick. We get into this debate about like seeded fruits and this and that, like seeded
Yeah.
watermelon and everything, right? And like I get they're a part of the argument, but at the same time, a lot of people, again, human beings, are arrogant. We think the seeds are for us. They're actually not really for us. The
Yeah.
seeds are to replenish the earth, because all those minerals inside of the
Mhm.
seeds, the magnesium, the phosphate, the iron, this and that, that's for the soil. We always talking about how degraded the soil is and how bad it is, because y'all want to eat all the goddamn watermelon seeds. Can we put them back in the earth so we can feed the soil?
Yeah, people don't talk about that one a lot. Like we were supposed to be going to the bathroom outside, so when we do eat our fruit, it would go back to the earth.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the people don't talk about that one, and they should go back to the earth. So I don't like eating them. I'm not saying it doesn't serve a purpose, but like you said, it's not for us.
Yes, it's not for us. Like, sure, we can get benefits from it, but it's not for us to get benefits from, because people, again, let's get back to learning how the human body actually works, right? We think that we need all of these, like, yeah, in our degraded state because of generations of improper eating. Yes, we do like need to get isolated nutrients. We do need minerals and nutrients and vitamins and the amino acids and all of that in order for our bodies to operate. But that's because we have been eating just a degraded, in such a degraded way, that we have devolved physically, spiritually, everything. But it's not food that heals the body. It is the body that heals itself. And we just have to put non-obstructive foods in our body to allow it to heal. Yeah. Like, we think that eating special things is like, yeah, sure, maybe it has certain things inside of it that could be good for the heart, that could be this for that. Yeah, because we need it because of how degraded our health is from years of eating animals, dairy, drinking coffee, these processed juices, eating pizza. Always we use food for entertainment. I call it eat-tertainment. Don't say you're hungry. You want to entertain yourself, but if you were genuinely hungry, you would eat whatever is in front of you right now. But we could have a whole bunch of fruit in our crib and then get hungry and we'll skip the fruit and go straight to DoorDash and order something, you know.
Yeah, that's funny you said that. I just posted something the other day, and I said if you're not hungry for fruits or leafy greens, then you're not really hungry. You're either feeding an addiction you have, you're emotionally eating, or you're emotionally eating. A lot of people use food as a coping mechanism, and that's something that I even had to come to terms to in order to start eating more raw foods. Like, why am I still eating like this? I always want to grow, and yes, you even emotionally eat. So that addiction and emotionally eating is two big things when it comes to not wanting fruit.
We are overfed and undernourished. You know, it's like we eat a lot, but we're not really getting anything from what we eat. We're just consuming. We're just constantly consuming, and then wonder why we're hungry all the time. Because people will look at us like we have three heads when we say, no, I mostly just majority of my calories come from fruit. And people will look at you like you have three heads, like, oh, that couldn't sustain me. I would be hungry. Like, because we have a misunderstanding of how the human body works, right? Our bodies actually are self-sustaining and it recycles its own energy if we have clean bodies. If our heart works the way that it's supposed to, our heart is basically a valve. If our lungs are actually a pump.
Yes.
In order to live, you need to breathe. Like, you can't go too long living without being able to breathe, without oxygen. So that's what naturally makes us breatharians. Then we're eaters, right? But the sun is also a source of energy. That's also a source of cell food. We have to focus more on cleansing our bodies and then recharging ourselves, because we are basically bioelectric human beings. We have an electromagnetic system. Our heart has its own frequency. We literally have our own aura. Like, these are all facts. Like, if you end up in a hospital, if you're having a heart attack, they will revive you with like that. I don't know what it is, what it's called, but it's like that shocker thing. What they'll put it to your heart. Why are they shocking you? It's like how you start up a car, how you get somebody to jump your car. The car's electricity to charge the car, so they're using electricity to recharge you. The natural foods have electrons in it, like it's electric food. That we don't call it that for a reason, because it's literally powered by the sun. They are biophotons. So that's food that's designed for the human body, but we can't fathom that because we have been, like, I won't even say brainwashed. We've literally been indoctrinated, misinformed, we've been groomed, we've like basically have been taught to eat things that are that industries say is food. But we'll act like we're the most religious and we love God and God this, God this, God that, but don't even trust the food that God provided here.
Yeah. And deep down people act they know it. They know it and they go against that intuition that they have to eat the foods they know they need to eat.
Addiction, you know,
Yeah.
it's just addiction. And that's how you know it's not food, because food isn't addictive. Food's not designed to be addictive, but drugs are. So food like products that are drugs, and I always say this, like, why do you think it's regulated by the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration? Why would they lump them both together? So that they can regulate the amount of drugs that go into the food.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, food is the biggest drug. I don't think there is no bigger drug than food, because it is the only one that seems to be the most acceptable is being a food addict. For some reason, you can be a crack addict, you could be a drug addict, but when it comes to food, people don't look at it the same for some reason.
Yeah, it is the most socially acceptable drug. And it's because it's like a way that we have all collectively bonded with each other over. You know, like food is always the medium of every meeting. You know, like people be like, who all gonna be over there? They cooking?
They
You
cooking,
know?
yeah. And they always talk about the food is good or not. That's the topic all the time. Even
For
when
real,
people
right?
die, they're gonna eat the same food. They're gonna eat the same food that person was eating. Like everything
Mm-hmm.
revolves around food, and that's what we have to do. We got to change that. Like just to change it to something healthy. We don't have to come together and only just come together just to eat food that doesn't benefit us. It just doesn't make sense.
And even that, right? So let's talk about food versus energy, because food isn't exactly energy. Food, the etymology of the word food is derived from the word fodder. And it's like an English word, old English word, fodder, which means, if you look in the dictionary, dry feed for
The
for
cattle, right?
for cattle and livestock. So, are we cattle and livestock? So, why do we need food? We don't need dry feed. Number one, we are biological vessels that's about 80% water. So, we need to be hydrated more than anything else in order to keep the fluids, the lymphatic fluids in our
Yeah,
body, the blood, to keep these fluids flowing, essentially, right? We have to continuously be able to move the water in our body, which requires hydrating food. um but we are eating dry feed for livestock
yeah.
and cattle because we're eating these dehydrating things, you
Yeah,
know.
and that's another reason why people think that they're hungry, because they are dehydrated. A lot of people have that misconception thinking that they're hungry, or they get hungry all the time. When you just the first of all, the food that you're eating, it takes away from the water that's in our body, because we're eating that food that's really not food. And then we're not actually hydrating ourselves with fruit or actual things that hydrate the body. We're just going to drink like some juice, or maybe just drink water, and that water doesn't even have the same water as the water in your body, which comes from the actual fruit. So dehydration is definitely one of the things where people think that they're hungry, when you should just actually just go and try and just drink some coconut water or just drink some tea. Sometimes that hungry feeling just goes away.
Mm-hmm. And we're more focused on feeding our stomachs than feeding ourselves.
Yeah.
And if we are electromagnetic beings that need charges, we should. Why do you think they call batteries like cells? Like the amount of energy that's left in the battery, they
So,
call it a
yeah.
cell because it's energy. So it needs to be charged. We need
Yeah.
charging. We don't need feeding. We need to be charged. So we have to charge ourselves with things that have that symbiotic relationship with the human body that keeps us charged up, which are going to be the natural foods that have biophotons inside of it,
Yeah, the
because
life.
it's life, it's light, and it's a
Mhm.
derivative from it's like a derivative from the extension of our solar system, from the sun, from the solar, you know? So that is not, that's electricity. Like that form of light is electricity, and it's a part of the photosynthesis process that is responsible for, you know, when you plant the seed into the ground and then you water it and then it gets charged by the sun, it starts to grow, and it's charged, it's already cooked, it's cooked by God,
already cooked. Yep.
you know, but we degrade it by putting fire to it. We kill off most of the nutrients that would transfer the light inside of the cells in the body. And like the thing about fruit is like the only food that diffuses the fructose directly into the blood cell, giving us instant energy. It bypasses the pancreas, you know, like, so it doesn't have to go through that, like that insulin process where insulin needs to be produced, because insulin is essentially a key that hits the nutrient inside, the sugar inside of the blood cell. So people think that fruit is harmful to the body because they're talking about too much sugar, too much this, but no, it's really just that all the fat that you're consuming, the animal fat, the oils and all of that, that's obstructing the flow, obstructing the blood to the point where it's actually covering the cell, making it hard for hard for sugar or fructose to get inside of the cell. So that's why your blood sugar is spiked, because it can't even enter the cell, because there is just so much clogging the cells, which is the animal fat. And that's essentially what diabetes is. But they think it's just the simple consumption of sugar. They think all of this is happenstance. It's like, no, there are causes, there are consequences for the things that you put inside of your body. Like, we think that we can just dump whatever into our body and it goes nowhere, you know?
Yeah, that's the thing. It stores in our body somewhere, because most of this food is not being digested. And you brought up a good topic. You were saying about the solar plexus. Now, when we eat fruits, they digest faster. Like you were just saying, basically, just the body is not working as hard when you go and eat fruits. They're so easy to digest. They digest fast. So we're not putting harm on our bodies over time by eating all of this food. And the solar plexus, that's our gut area. And you know how when they say our gut is the first brain, the solar plexus being that the solar comes from the sun, and the plexus word is the braids, and they refer those to like the nerves in our stomach, because we have the most nerves in this area in our gut, and they connect to all our bodies. And I said this today. I was saying how when you get the butterflies, or you have a gut feeling, or what's the other one? Or even when you get sick to your stomach, these are all feelings that's coming from your gut, because those nerves actually interact with the outside of your body as well. So that's how important healing your gut is, and actually eating fruits and natural foods that are easy to digest, because it takes all your energy. The process of digestion takes up a lot of energy, and people don't realize that's the most energy. So when you're eating foods all day every day, you're constantly using any energy that you have on digestion, and that's why we need to sleep so much.
Big facts. Like 80% of our energy is drained once we start the digestive process, especially depending on what you're eating. But if you're eating something that has a fast bowel transit time, because, you know, it doesn't obstruct the body, it doesn't force your pancreas to produce enzymes, because fruit has digestive enzymes inside of it already, because they're mostly carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are broken down by the enzyme amylase, and amylase is in the saliva. And for me, that's telling how beautifully designed and intentionally designed our bodies is. And it's almost like an indicator of what we're supposed to consume, because how is it that it's amylase that actually initiates the digestive process?
Yeah, it starts with the chewing. Yeah, it
Yeah.
starts with your mouth, and people don't think that either. As soon as you put food in your mouth, it literally starts the whole process of digestion. Sometimes even smelling food, your body starts creating fluid to get ready for whatever it's smelling. So even our bodies are that like intentional, like it knows that, and it works with us.
Right. And so if the first enzyme that your body is introducing the food to is an enzyme that is specifically designed to break down carbohydrates, wouldn't you think that's what we're designed to eat?
Hmm.
And so and I'm not talking about those carbs, those complex carbs that come from processed, like pastas and things of that sort. I'm talking about the natural carbohydrates, which is basically carbon, you know.
Oxygen, hydrogen,
Yes,
and
you would
that's all.
think, you know.
That's all you need.
So that's what we're designed to consume, and that's how our bodies are designed from the top up, like a hierarchy. So when you're putting like protein in the body, like protease is an enzyme designed to break down protein. It's the pancreas that's producing the pancreas is like the powerhouse for the production of enzymatic energy.
Yeah.
So every time we eat something that doesn't have its own digestive enzymes inside of it, now you are assigning the pancreas to produce those enzymes. According to a book that I read about enzymes, they say that I don't know if this is true or not, but that book was based on scientific research and studies. He said that we're born with all of the enzymes we're ever going to have.
Mm.
So when you're constantly consuming something that does not have digestive enzymes inside of it, you're forcing your pancreas to produce enzymes. And enzymes aren't only just to digest food. Enzymes are needed for every function in the body.
Yeah.
It helps to reproduce energy. It helps to regenerate us. So like when 80% of your energy is being used to break down a steak and cheese with some French fries, and then a Coca-Cola, or whatever it is that you're consuming, and then you're going to be snacking afterwards. You're going to have some potato chips, and then so people are constantly running to the refrigerator. They always need something in their mouth, and they always need to be eating while they're performing any friggin' activity. So we're putting 80% of the body's energy into processing things that don't even supposed to be there in the first place. And now we are degrading certain organ systems designed to process food. And then we're wondering why we end up in the hospital because they're underperforming in its natural process or natural design, what it was created to do. It can no longer do that anymore because we've overburdened it with things that never was meant to be in our body. They are obstructions. So you're perfectly made. You're already powerful. You're already healthy. You're the one who's obstructing your body and taking away your own vitality.
Yeah. And it's crazy because when something like the pancreas it becomes too weak or just any organ, it starts taking and using other organs to compensate for. So your body starts shutting down one by one because now it needs this liver. Now it needs to send minerals and stuff from the liver in order to compensate for the pancreas. And then it keeps going once the organs get weaker and weaker and weaker. And that's what we do over time. And they call it old age.
So, right. Aging. Aging is a conspiracy theory. We don't age. We age ourselves, essentially. Like we always saying that, oh, it's just I'm getting old. No, it has nothing to do with your age. Like we can self-preserve. We can operate at our optimal levels. We can look as young as we want to look for however long we want to look young, but it's like we're aging our bodies because we put miles on it every single time. At least we're putting bad miles on it. It's like driving your car without an oil change
Yeah.
or driving your car with low grade oil, depending on the kind of car that it is. So if you're putting low quality oil in your engine all the time, then yeah, you're going to wear out the life or accelerate the life of the car over time. And it's the same thing with the quality of energy that we put into our food and I'm sorry, into our bodies, which is why I think is important for us to kind of like start reclassifying what we need to live, because we don't need food, we need energy. And energy is comes in different forms. So it comes from the apple, it comes from the cherries, the berries, like that's a form of energy, but it's a quality form of energy that gets its energy from the electromagnetic grid of the earth.
Yes, and I was about to mention that as well. Even grounding is a form of getting those electrons that we need. Those electrons come in. Those are the antioxidants, and they free our cells from stress. And that's why as we get old, we start to get wrinkly. We get brown spots. Your cells are deprived of oxygen, and those electrons they come in and they basically help the cell because over time, like I said, our bodies are a bunch of cells, and these cells over time get beat up because of what we consume. So over time, the cells get weaker, and then they go create more and more cells, and these are weak cells, and they're deprived of oxygen.
And you do grounding, right? Aren't you like partnered up with a grounding company?
Yeah, I actually am. I should wish I could drop the link in this
Yeah,
channel.
I
I
can
should
drop
have
the
gave it
link.
to you. I should have gave it to you. It's called Grounding Well. If you use my link, you could get 10% off. Every day, even when I don't go outside and ground because it's too cold or just the sun is not out, I get up and I'll ground for about 30 minutes. Just put my feet on this grounding mat, and I also have a grounding sheet. So when I'm sleeping, it's connected to the grounding part, and yeah, you can literally feel the difference. So I recommend everybody get a grounding mat and a grounding sheet.
What is hold on, get a, because I'm actually interested in this because I live like in an apartment building and it's the winter time. I would love to be able to still ground like this time of year, without putting my feet in the snow. I don't know how it necessarily works, but so get a grounding mat, or you said grounding well.
Yeah, yeah, that's the company. The company's called Grounding Well, and you get a grounding mat and a grounding sheet, so you can ground while you're sleeping, and then you can ground anytime you're just comfortable and you're inside. Just put your feet on it and ground.
What's the
And
website?
it's called groundingwell.com. I believe it's a company I believe out of the UK.
And what is your code?
And my code, let me let me get it. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, I just want to give people the opportunity now to get this done because there's so many different ways for us to get sources of energy to keep our cells charged in our body. It's not about coating our stomachs with all this food and calories and this and that. No, stop counting calories and start counting ingredients for number one. And if it has ingredients, it's really not the energy that your body is designed to consume. Like
Mm.
eating food is eating dry, it's fodder. It's dry feed, like that's something that's given to livestock and cattle. And yeah, maybe the powers that be see us as livestock and cattle because we're just a number to them, but we're not. We have to reclaim our power. We have to reclaim our godhood. We have to reclaim just like our energy in general, and realize that we have been misinformed. We have been mistaught deliberately to keep us from realizing our greatest and truest potential. And it's
Mhm.
going to take time, it's going to take time to evolve, but it starts with us. And then we have children, and then we're raising our kids like that. And hopefully they continue on with the tradition. Imagine how strong your bloodline is going to be, and their intuition is going to heighten with time, and their power is going to heighten with time, and their capabilities. And we really should get to a point where we're able to sustain on very little so-called like food because we're just energized from the sun. Like even the sun is a real form of keeping us alive and energy. Like just think about it. Like they always say we need vitamin D. Vitamin D isn't something that comes from the sun. Vitamin D is a hormone in the body that is activated by the sun.
I'm glad
And
you said that. That's something that I just was saying on my page. It's a hormone that our body literally needs, and our bodies hold and store vitamin D on its own.
yeah, like we store it, and we can store it indefinitely as long as, you know, we're staying charged up under the sun, or just even just consuming the right types of energy in general. Therefore, like by eating food that comes from the structure of the earth, you know, that comes from the cell food that grows off of the trees, that's an extension of the electromagnetic grid. And even the mycelium network, like the mycelium network, I feel like is plays probably, I feel like the mycelium network is representative of the earth's spiritual system.
Yeah,
Like it's what connects us all, you know,
it's
it's what
like the
keeps.
Earth's internet.
Yes, yes. Which is why, like, I don't know if you're into this, like if you've ever done like magic mushrooms, or if you've ever
Okay.
like gotten into that. But let me get the code real quick so I can
The
put this.
code is G. It is GNIGEL 7.
And
That should be the code. Yeah, GNIGEL 7.
for a discount.
Yeah, you get 10% off on anything that you buy. Make sure that works. Let me just double check and just make sure. Oh, I'm sorry. It is that is a different one. It is actually just GWNIGEL. So yeah, just put that code in. GWNIGEL.
GWNIGEL no 7.
Yep, nope, that's it.
Okay.
And I
There we
also just partner with another company, and this is something that people really don't talk about with just being on phones and products a lot. And it's the radiation and the electromagnetic frequencies that come off the computers and phones and stuff, and how that also negatively affects our bodies a lot, and people don't realize that. And this company, he came up with something that's just like a sticker that you can put on your phone, and actually regulates the electromagnetic frequencies, where you can actually like see the difference and tell the difference. He ran a bunch of different like test, and seeing how our bodies actually get weaker when we have our phones in our hand. And when without the phone in your hand, like it's crazy how it affects our aura just having these phones. So that's just another company called Omnia, and I'll give you the link to that later. But that's just a company called Omnia that you guys should look at when you get a chance.
Okay. Yeah. Anyone watching this now or on the replay, if you're interested in Omnia, just leave a comment, mention it. We'll get that information over to you.
Absolutely.
That's dope. What else do you have going on? I know we're approaching the hour mark. I know we probably have things to do. So
That was quick.
I know, right? Like I could keep going if you got the time, but
Yeah, I could keep going too. Because
yeah.
you were making some great points, a lot of great points.
Okay. Dope. Yeah.
I'm trying to think the last thing you were saying.
Yeah, I can't even remember, but like it's all good. Like to the point for me, it's just more so about separating food. Like just like this mindset of what we have, like this program of food that we have, because we're not livestock or cattle. We don't need fodder. We don't need food. We need sources of energy that is designed for us to operate at our best so that we can be in a state of vitality, because we are power. So power minus obstruction equals vitality. So we're already the power. You know, like even you at your sickest, if you're 400 pounds and you have cancer and you have this, you still have power. All you have to do is just realize that power, retrain your brain, put in the work to stop, put in the work to get rid of your bad habits. Start working on that character development. Start taking it a bit more seriously about making it a goal to get rid of certain addictions that you have, right? Because if we're addicted to alcohol, if we're addicted to cigarettes, if we're addicted to like really hard drugs like heroin or fentanyl or something like that, it just so overtly deteriorates our health in such a faster and accelerated pace that we do get to a point where we make it, and it's not societally accepted. So even while we're doing it, we know we're destroying our lives, but at the same time, we know that in the back of our head, we always say, you know, I want to quit smoking. I want to quit this. I want to, like, you're intentional about that. Like, start becoming more intentional about breaking those habits that you have around food. Like, yes, actually, food, that fodder that you like to consume. You know, the pizza, the tacos, and just all. And I'm not saying because like this is the Betterism Podcast. I'm not saying that if you're consuming that sparingly, but it's generally your lifestyle to eat a whole bunch of natural food. But if you want to be entertained, we do still live in the matrix, you know. I feel like if that's how you want to live, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But when you're eating healthy most of the time, and then you do throw in that little bit of like that night where you just go out and have a drink with your friend, you feel your energy be drained so dramatically that you don't even want to do it anymore. You kind of grow out of it. So it's good to go through the levels of what we experience, but just always be in the direction or on the trajectory of doing better, and just getting rid of certain habits little by little. Because I don't think cold turkey is necessarily the answer.
No, it's not. And I'm glad that you brought that up, because a lot of people ask, how do you change your diet? Like what, like how did you do it? And you have to start changing stuff in your life first, and then you go and change your diet. And you want to do this gradually. Like as I started, I did everything gradually. I cut out one thing after another, but what made it easier is the habits that I was doing, not surrounding myself around certain people, making sure I get up and I move my body every day. I was doing yoga, I was meditating, I was in the sun, I was grounding. And even if I wasn't eating healthy, I'm doing all of these things. So you have to just change a couple things in your life, and then gradually and naturally you're going to want to change your diet. And for me, it happened so fast for me where I didn't even know what plant-based foods to eat. And I didn't want to, and I knew about the vegan junk food. So I didn't want to go and eat vegan junk food. So I didn't know what to eat, because I just gradually just was changing my diet so fast because of the other habits that I was building for myself. And that's what you just need to do. People just have to just do some different stuff, and everything else will fall in line with it.
Yeah, it's about transitioning. Like one of my favorite interviews that Bobby and I did on Juice Champs was with Professor Spira. Uh, Professor Spira, he's big on the transition. He's like big on like the mucusless diet healing system that I guess like it was something originally written about and authored by Dr. Arnold Ehret in like the 1940s or so. So it's a really older book, and all of the same things apply that he put in that book as far as like people's relationship with food, society's relationship with food, just what we believe or think we know about how the body operates and like all of that. And then he just talks about, he has two books. He's got the mucusless diet healing system, and he has rational fasting. And
I never heard that one.
yeah, that's a really good book that you should get, Rational Fasting. But Professor Spira always talks about how people like will be eating the standard American diet, and then they see something like a watermelon challenge or something like that, and then they jump into these extremes really quick. And if you're not careful, it can become like a pathway to disordered eating, because you end up doing like one extreme to the next. Like you'll go and eat the standard American diet, then you're trying to do 100 days of watermelon, And then before you know it, you can't do it because you've been eating the standard American diet and you're highly addicted. And just like but just like your relationship with food, what you believe or think about it, plus everybody around you is going to think you're crazy and say that you need to eat more than that. So there's other aspects of it, but you're attempting to do it, and then you're essentially shocking your system. Then you're going to end up on the other side of it, like doing crazy extremes. Like you're going to start feeling bad about yourself mentally, thinking there's something wrong with you. And because this is something I experienced when I was like kind of getting into it, even though I got into it for health reasons. But when you're not being perfect, when you're trying to attempt something so extreme, you just get into a lot of self-judgment, which isn't good for your mental health, which isn't good for your physical health, because like your mental health controls your nervous system. Like you said, you can literally have thoughts and then you get sick to your stomach just from a thought, because all of the nerves is in that region, in the solar plexus region.
And that's great to know, because the good thoughts can also do the opposite. They can do the opposite, and they can literally feed you. So you can get fed, just how you get feed off the sun and feed off other things. Good thoughts actually feed you as well.
Yes. What's his name? Becoming Supernatural. Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about that in his book, when he talks about how people heal themselves with their thoughts alone, the same way that you can destroy your health with your thoughts by being angry and being depressed and being stressed for this prolonged state of time. You're keeping your body in a fight or flight state. So you're forcing like your body's hormonal systems, like your adrenal glands and your pituitary and all these are overproducing these stress hormones in the body, and you're getting all this cortisol, and it's literally your normal state. You're constantly in a state of fight or flight because you're always anxious, you're always worried, you're always living in fear, you're always doubting yourself. So it's not only food that will destroy your health, like you can also destroy your health just with your emotions, just with the thoughts that you think all the time. But he said that when he started working with people through meditation, and just mindful meditation and really being mindful of the thoughts that are in the head and changing the belief system, just by changing the thoughts and getting into a meditative state, and just changing the words, replacing the thoughts with just higher vibrational thoughts and keeping them locked into that state. And you can actually improve your emotions, and you also can heal your body with hormones, like happy hormones. And I thought that was fascinating, because you could eat like crap and actually still heal your body just with thoughts. And so that proves how powerful our thoughts really are.
Yeah, and that's what changed everything for me. And that's why I just said meditating was big for me, because that's when I was able to pay attention to the thoughts that were coming in, and able to train my brain a certain way. So every time I got a negative thought, I was able to throw that negative thought out and just only think good thoughts. And over time, it's like a habit, and you really would train your brain to do that, and you will see that manifest in your life by just the thoughts. And that's why that changed more than anything, just paying attention to the thoughts, because food doesn't affect everybody the same. Like some people start getting fat, other people have mental issues. Like for me, when I didn't eat well, it affected me on a mental level, and a lot of people don't realize that they have mental health problems because of the food.
But also, believing something is not good for you while you're eating it can also make it harmful. Because if you're eating a pizza, but you don't believe it's harmful and you're just enjoying it and you're allowing yourself to eat it with reverence, it's not going to have the same effect on the body as someone who is more health conscious and more aware, and knowing it's not something that they want to be doing, but it's like an addictive decision that they're making. When you're eating something while believing it's not good for you, you're making it just that much more harmful for the body. Because I also believe that's something I did to myself for a long time. Like, because I had to get healthy for health reasons. It wasn't like something that I necessarily wanted to do because I like love to eat. Like I I love food, and I'm just gonna keep it classified as food because it's fodder. I loved it, like, and still do, honestly. Like, I'm not perfect. If I let myself go there, it's a wrap. I'm in a cycle until I'm not anymore.
Lachey, you know what was funny when you were talking about the lady with the salad and at the restaurant?
You what? You saw that?
That was hilarious. That was so funny. And then they wound up switching meals.
Oh, that was the funniest to watch because I just be watching people. So I'm just sitting there and I'm just looking at them, and it's like she's like really beautiful though, like super pretty girl, very well put together, but she was like plus size, and her date was like thin, tall, handsome, and they're just I don't know, it was giving first date vibes. And she has this salad in front of her, and it looked like a simple salad. It don't look like it had chicken on it or anything. Cause I'm just looking at the salad and I'm just watching her eat. And she struggled eating it. Like she's not enjoying it. She just eating it. Like she looked bored of it. And she eyeing them nachos. And he got the nachos next to him, and he's just going down to town. And before you know it, they done swapped meals, and he was actually tearing that salad up, and she was tearing down them. Now she was happier, she was dancing. And I was like, girl, eat what you want to eat. Like,
Yeah.
don't be trying to eat cute because you on a date.
You with
Girl,
somebody, right?
you ain't get that big eating cute. Just cut it out. He know you like to eat.
Yeah,
You
you don't
better
gotta
get
hide it.
right. You better get like whatever. At least get the chicken salad, girl. Don't try to do too much. But and that wasn't me judging. That was me being realistic. I'm like, because a lot of girls do that on dates. Like they'll go on dates and they trying to eat all cute in front of the dude,
Yeah.
get the salad. I ain't her. I can promise you that. But yeah, I just feel like, well, I don't even know what I was talking about because I got derailed off of that. But I mean, what was I even saying before that?
You were just what were we talking about?
It don't even matter.
Yeah.
But
We going so many different directions.
no, but that's what this is. I don't
Yeah.
know. I'm a conversationalist, and we are on topic. We're talking about all the things, and like I really enjoy the content that you share. Number one, you're a great writer. Like I just feel like you're an excellent writer. You should probably take some of your posts that you put online, and like if your website has like a blog section, just copy and paste it and make it a blog to go out to an email list, because it's so well written. But it's like explained in such a way that it's like digestible, and it's like also challenges people's thoughts, like based on decisions that they know they're making right now. And then you're kind of like, but does that make sense? Like, because
Yeah.
this way, this is why it doesn't. And I think that's why you attract, a large audience of people. You have really good content. And I know, like, when I was just getting off Facebook, you were just kind of like, you've already always been on, like, transitioning into your raw vegan lifestyle. And I know you was getting more into that and more into the fruits and stuff when I was just like exiting Facebook. Are you still doing that right now?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I had went and actually ate raw food for a while. I just now, just because it's getting cold, I started eating more cooked foods. But I went raw, and yeah, I felt so much better, like so much better. I never actually went and ate just raw foods. Like I ate a lot of fruit and stuff, always ate a lot of fruit for a long time, but actually just eating living foods for a while, yeah, that it changed the game. And I really don't want to go back. I'm actually going to get me a dehydrator real soon so I can start experimenting with raw foods. Yeah, so definitely still in that for sure. And the content, that's one of my gifts. It just is writing. I'm a great writer, but I know how to just take information and make it easy and make people think, because I analyze a lot. I just really sit there and really think things through. So that's why I can just be at service to people in a way where it gets them thinking. And that when and that makes them aware. When you start thinking, that's when you start changing things.
Absolutely. And you share. A lot of us are so worried about what other people think about us that we end up filtering ourselves just naturally. We don't like to express what's actually in our heads or in our minds or in our hearts. Like, we'll all be experiencing the same news cycle. We're all seeing the same things go on. We're all knowing that food's being poisoned. We're all knowing all these different corrupt things are happening in the world. We all know that our government ain't shit. We all know this. But some people are bold enough to just say it out loud and be themselves and not be in fear of losing people, because that once you start telling a truth that's not in alignment with what other people believe,
Right.
that's something that shakes the foundation of their reality, because if they are to believe that, that means that now there's a certain level of responsibility we're going to feel like we have to either let other people know or to make decisions in our life a certain way. So once we find out there's poison in the Fruit Loops, and that's our favorite cereal, now we have to make a decision to stop eating it, because that is the best. Once you know better, you're supposed to do better. But a lot of times we're just not ready to change. So we'll either like have cognitive dissonance and block out the information all together and just be like, whatever, I'm just gonna eat it anyways. And like, that's okay. Like, you are making an informed decision. But some people will be in total and complete denial because they know in their spirit that is true. They know in their spirit they're not supposed to consume it, but they don't want to stop. So they're going to argue with you. They're going to push back. They're going to debate with you. They're going to call you a conspiracy theorist. They're going to be like, well, why would they poison us? Oh, so you have to be ready for opposition. You have to be ready for resistance when you're using your voice and when you're using your platform to spread certain information, because it challenges a lot of people's comfort. So it's really brave to do that.
Yeah. I had a lot of I used to post about eating meat and stuff, and a lot of meat eaters, they're under the comments, and they a lot of them, they were talking crazy to me. One lady called me a muffin cake one time, all because I said something about eating meat, and it was funny to me. So I posted. It's just, it's funny when you see how angry people get about it, but it's because they know the truth. They just know it.
It's triggering to them. And like, when people get triggered, I know that they're not deeply rooted in what they believe in. Because if you standing on business about how you live, you're not going to be as easily shaken of somebody saying otherwise. You're going to just be like, oh, you're going to like agree to disagree, be like, yeah, that's bullshit. And you're just going to keep on moving. But if you stop and use your energy to try to convince them otherwise, or call them names or insult them, because a lot of people, when they know something is true and they can't really debate it or argue it, they use ad hominem, which is just basically personal attacks against you versus actually addressing the message itself. And like, that's the kind of world that we live in, where it's just like people have become trolls rather than just allowing themselves to evolve based on new information. So I do think that like what we do, just being ourselves, like just being ourselves essentially, is like almost one of the hardest things to do and be in today's world, because people care too much about what other people think about them. Like, I'll have people who disagree with certain things that liked my content before, until I say something different. Then I lost a follower, I lost a subscriber. But I would rather lose a follower and lose a subscriber than to lose my soul, lose who I am. So now I have to change and not share certain things and filter myself to help you feel better about whatever false reality that you have decided to live in. Like, no, I respect your right to know or believe whatever it is that you believe. Like, I'm not judging you for it. I'm just challenging the lifestyle choice itself. And at any point you can evolve beyond that lifestyle choice. You know, like I've been in that place. I've been a meat eater. I've been a junk food eater. Like I've been an alcoholic. Like I've been all of those things. I'm not judging the alcoholic. I'm not judging the meat eater. I'm not judging that. I'm just judging I'm not even judging it. I'm just telling you, you know, that's not necessarily always going to be the best thing for your body. And um I mean, it depends on who we're talking about too, because like us as melanated beings, we're not designed the same way as Europeans.
No,
So
we're
they have
not.
more hydrochloric acids in their stomach that can break down meat.
Yeah, and even with that, they still aren't designed to eat meat, even though their bodies are different. They're still not designed to eat meat neither, but they can tolerate it better than us.
And they had to at one point though,
Yeah,
because they
they
were,
had to adapt.
yeah, they were in a geographical location where there were not an abundance of arable land that had fruit trees and vegetation. So they had to adapt and they had to eat animals. And I get that. Like that's a survivalist thing, you
But we
know?
ain't we're not doing that now though. We don't need to survive.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. So it's not something that we have to do anymore. We can adapt to the luxury of no longer needing to be in survival mode. But,
Mhm.
you know,
Mhm.
what can you do?
Yeah,
But I think it's like a beautiful time to be alive in general.
it is. It really is. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on right now. What are you thinking about this stuff right now? These drones and UFOs and stuff.
You know, I haven't paid too close attention about it, but I've always been like a conspiracy theorist in general. Like I used to be more into that stuff. And if I'm gonna base an opinion, I guess it'll be based on that perspective of like how I view anything that the government does. I think that number one, nothing happens out in the open that the government allows that's not being orchestrated.
Mm.
So drones, drones are. I watched the TikTok video of this guy who has really expensive drones that he likes to take out and film things or whatever, right? And he said that I think he's in like in California, and he said that when he flies his drone near this certain place that's close to like this military base or whatever,
Hmm.
it literally will not, it's like programmed to not even be allowed to like be there. It will automatically be like forced down. And
Really?
he said that because the FF, and he has like this a manual that states that the FAA prohibits flying like in that area because that's all government land.
Right.
Now, if those are programmed to be regulated around certain areas or geolocations or whatever, especially government bases, how is it that what I'm saying is the government monitors all of these flying
Yeah,
devices.
it can't be nothing in the air unless they know.
Exactly. And if they're allowed in the air, it's because they're controlling them.
Yeah,
So that's all I'm gonna say about the drones and the
yeah.
alien stuff. Project Bluebeam,
Yeah,
just
that's the
finally
thing, and
being
that's why I feel like
actualized.
something big is going to happen with this stuff. Now, I live in New Jersey, so and I look at the sky all the time. I've been looking in the skies, and they have orbs right now in the air, but they have drones in the air too. That of course that they're operating. I feel like they're using these drones in
To
order to
shoot down the
monitor,
orbs.
yeah, to monitor these herbs and I mean these orbs and these plasmoids because they're in the sky, and I see them all the time. They look like stars, but they're so much brighter, and that's why I feel like they have the drones, and I see both. See the drones and the orbs, and lately they've been trying to like block the sky for it, so we can't see it as much. But yeah, I feel like they're using this because they always been around, but they're using this as like a tactic to get people ready for, I guess, a fake alien invasion or something like that. So yeah, and it's gonna go against a lot of what people think. A lot of what people think. It's this movie. It's this comedy movie I seen on Netflix. I want everybody to go and watch. It's called Don't Look Up, and it's a movie that came out in 2021. But I feel like they're talking about what's going on and what's happening right now, and trying to prepare us for something. And because they're talking in the movie, they're talking about a comet, but I feel like they're talking about something else. So if you got a chance, go and watch that movie and let me know what you think about it. But
Yeah, I'll check it out. I know they do a lot of predictive programming in Hollywood. Like they'll
yeah,
put a lot of things in movies. Like I remember watching Cheech and Chong, and that movie came out in like the 80s or something. It was like the 70s or the 80s, and there was a chalkboard in one of the scenes that said "fuck Iran." Like, and you know that,
wow, in the 80s.
yeah, like way before 9/11, the
Hmm.
second 9/11 attack in New York City in 2001, because that's when they started really targeting these outside regions outside of Afghanistan that had nothing to do with actually, I know it was like Saudi Arabians who are so-called responsible for the terrorist attack, but they didn't go after the Saudi Arabians. They went and invaded Afghanistan, and they went and invaded, and then they started talking about Iran, and they started talking about all these different, like Libya, all these different places that had absolutely nothing to do with the actual attack. They just used that false flag attack as a reason to basically start this new proxy war, because they never officially declared war at that time, just to attack this region, basically to go after their resources. It's just like these are all just like politically tactical, geopolitical wars that they have to use to install their banking systems and things like that, so that they can have, a certain level of control on the whole planet, to have this globalist vision that they've been constantly trying to create since literally hundreds of years ago. Like, what was it? Uh, I haven't been read up on this stuff for so long, but what the hell was the name of the first one that they tried to do, but was voted down from Congress? This was like in the 1920s or 30s. But yeah, it just gets so deep. And I feel like they put a lot of predictive programming in these TV shows, in these movies, even in the medical doctor shows. Like we calling people quacks who are anti-vaccine, like they're always trying to plant seeds in our brains. They even come for the naturalists. Like they'll have like some person come into a hospital, and they're seizing and they're shutting their body down because they're refusing the allopathic care because they want to take the herbs at home,
Hmm.
and then they always make them die at the end because they refused. It's just like they
Yeah,
do these things to kind of plant agendas into our brains about how to view healthcare, medical care, or if they want the reality to be a certain way in the future in our 3D world, they'll start creating plots and stuff like that that they'll put into movies. And they even put a lot of truth in the movies, but they play it off like, it's just science fiction and it's
yeah,
not real, when in reality it actually is real.
yeah. And as time goes on, I feel like the movies now, every single movie has something in it where it's telling you something now. It's really getting to that point. And that's why I preach just natural living. And I just thought of natural living and getting back to nature, because like we're living in times right now where we're going through a shift, and this shift is natural, where people are naturally going back to their original diets. They're naturally taking herbs and being more herbalists and stuff. So this is a shift that's happening where, and these people know this shift is happening. It's going to happen regardless. So it's really nothing they can't do. But I feel like they're trying to take credit for, and that's why they got what's his name, the guy that's with Trump, and he's basically going to be coming in with the whole health situation and tackling the
RFK
health.
Jr. Yep.
Yeah, and it's nice and all, it's good, but they know the shift is happening already, just naturally, regardless of what they do.
Yep. I feel like they know that we're evolving so much that this is like the whole alien UFO stuff. they're just trying to stay just for that one last attempt so that they can try to like take back a certain level of power, like,
Exactly.
you know, like create, instill a certain amount of fear into us so that they can be like, oh yeah, we're in a state of emergency. You know, we're gonna have to shut down.
Yeah, that's what I believe. I believe that's where the next pandemic is going to come. It's going to come from this whole situation. It's going to something big is going to come out of this drone and this orb situation, and that's where they're going to try to put a new agenda on us. But in 2025, it's a whole agenda that they have for us, and it includes the artificial intelligence, and it includes that. It includes a social credit system and all type of stuff, and they're going to use this. Yeah, they're gonna use this situation to try to gain more control over the people, and it's gonna come, and it's gonna come probably very soon, within the beginning of next year. So I guess being aware of it and knowing that it's gonna happen, so you can just get prepared for it.
Yeah, I think that, you know, I also tend to not pay too much attention to a lot of that stuff only because I understand that what we give our attention to, we help create.
Hmm.
So, like, I like to speak into reality that they can attempt to do whatever it is they want, but if we pay no attention to it, nothing will come of it. And I say that because think about how like they handled COVID 19, and then think about how they tried to do the same thing with monkeypox. And then
Yeah,
people were so exhausted with what they just did with the shutdowns and forcing people to get something or they're going to lose their job, like all of the coercion and the bullying and the shaming and all of that. People were just so worn down from that that they tried to reintroduce a whole nother like faux pandemic with the monkeypox, and people were just like,
it ain't work.
nobody cared. No one paid attention to it. We just did what we did anyways, and it just didn't work. So I think it's important for us to, like, no matter what they try to throw at us, we're so aware of their tactics and stuff at this point that we
Exactly.
just need to know that it's just an attempt at relinquishing control and getting the ball back in their court. But we are so evolved and we're so used to their tactics, and we know how corrupt they are, and we're well aware of Project Bluebeam. We already know what's going on. So I think it's important for us to not acquiesce our control. And I do think it is important to become less reliable on the systems and get back into gardening, get back into community efforts and getting the community back together. And I would love to see like more initiatives and just regular neighborhoods, like local block parties, get to know your neighbor, things that like help people get out of their homes and their apartments and stuff, and really like very intentionally getting to know their neighbor, and then having like maybe mini gardens behind everybody's houses, and then it could be like a swap. Well, I've got the tomatoes, I've got the, you know, and it's just like
Yeah,
a way to keep everybody like fed equally. And it could be like a barter system rather than paying people. Like, we're all eating living food, we're all growing, we're all nourishing and replenishing the soil in our neighborhoods again, and it's happening in our own backyards. And like, if you want to use the government, use it effectively. Create like a backyard garden program where you have people come out and help create starter gardens,
that's a good
provide the
idea.
seeds, you know, stuff like that. Like, we could be using the fact that we have a self-sustaining planet, renewable energy type planet. One apple tree will keep us fed on apples for a century, you know? And it's just like, there's no reason why food insecurity should exist, because we live on a planet that all you have to do is plant a seed in the dirt, create a tree, and then you're feeding people actual things that our bodies are designed to create. And then we're actually healing our bodies, or allowing our bodies to heal itself, because we're not obstructing it with fake processed things that we've become reliant on and like to see as food. But we're actually eating from the earth, we're eating from nature. It's not going to cost you anything, so you don't have to like work your hardest in order to feed yourself, you know? And it's just like, makes way more sense. It forces you to connect with the people around you, because you can't grow everything.
Yeah, yeah, that's being self-sufficient right now should be everybody's goal. It literally should be everybody's goal to grow some type of food. and just becoming self-sufficient. And that's what
Yeah.
getting back to nature is literally about.
Yep. So let's get into natural living. Let's talk about your products as we close this out. What are you working on? How can people reach you? How can they like follow your content? Do you have any like projects coming up? I would love to see you like be on, you should definitely go live more. I just feel like you
It is
definitely
something
have
I'm out of
that.
my
You
comfort
have a
zone for
big
sure.
you have a big platform, and people pay attention to people who are just being themselves on camera. But I do think what you're doing is good. Like you have a lot of video clips and things of that sort. And I've seen you produce more of that, and I love that. And you should definitely continue to do that. But I do believe like long form content coming from you, it'll only help grow your business. So yeah, let's like, what do you have that we can? I know I've used his before I let him get into that, I want to say this. Here's a live review of his purple sea moss. His purple sea moss, the Conjurus crispus, which is really the only type of sea moss you should be consuming, in my opinion. It's like the best quality, in my opinion. Uh, is like A game, next level. Like I have purchased sea moss from a lot of people. I find it really hard to get down. I find it's a lot of times a little too fishy. Like this tastes a little bit too much like the sea, and I get that. I know we're not supposed to be consuming healthy things for the taste. We're supposed to do it for the minerals and what's good for us. But a lot of times when something is almost like too unpalatable, it's just hard to get down in it, and it is what it is. It's just like, okay, I'll use something else that also has these things. But like this his sea moss, like his formula, he uses like just the sea moss, distilled water, and key limes, but the ratios in which he uses it makes it so easy for me to just grab a spoonful, pop it in my mouth, and like it's not nasty. It doesn't taste like this overpowering taste of the sea. It's got like that nice fresh key lime taste to it. It's so easy to consume, and I like things to be easy. And when I take other people's sea moss, like I always have to put it in a smoothie or something in order to get it down. And it's just like a lot of effort just to consume this one thing because it's hard for me to just like take a spoonful and swallow. It almost makes me gag with certain sea mosses. So it was so easy for me to just be on routine and to just take it regularly. It's just really, really good. And I could feel the benefits and the effects of all of the minerals that is inside of the sea moss. And sometimes I have like a lot of congestive issues. Um, and especially if I'm like detoxing, and it's like, yeah. So when I can just like feel the pull of the sea moss helping to clear the mucus, and it's just easy to get down. So I'll say that about his purple sea moss. So if y'all are looking for like a
Thank you.
quality sea moss product, definitely go to his website and put in an order.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate that. And thank you for getting me out of my comfort zone. I don't go live much. I don't really go live at all. I really just either I'm always just writing, and people read what I write, but that's my true gift. But being on, people need to see my face and know, because it gains trust as well. So this is something that I needed. So thank you for that. And my website is ichoosenature.net, and I'm in the process soon. I'm gonna make a whole new website so it'll be easier to use. I do have the sea moss on the website. I also sell cold pressed juices as well, and I ship those out. And I have a few ebooks on the website as well. Soon I'll have herbal blends very, very soon. Probably by, I say, the end of January or February. I'll have some herbal blends on there, and I'll have a whole new website. And also, I got on ichoosenature.net. I have the grounding well and mat too, so you can just go and click it. You can just go and click on the site. Just click on the site, scroll down, and you'll see it. And the link is directly attached. Well, you'll get the 10% off, and you can just get that right from my website. I'm in the process of also writing a book as well, and yeah, that book is that's going to be a good one because I'm going through just my journey, and um all these different diseases and herbs to use and just how to live naturally. So I'm writing a whole book on that and just a bunch of other stuff that I talk about. And yeah, just be on the lookout. And soon, coming up this spring, I have a family farm that I'll be growing on as well. So I'll be making a lot of content on my family farm, showing people the process of how I grow food and everything too. So yeah, if you could follow me on my Instagram is we_natural_living. And my Facebook is my name, Nigel Fitzgerald. And I also sell merch as well. I have t-shirts and hoodies. And this I have a lot of other ideas because like I said, my brand is natural living. So yeah, I have a whole brand. I have so much ideas for this and getting back to nature. So yeah, just be on the lookout, guys. And I appreciate y'all. And thank you. Thank you, Lachey, for inviting me on here.
You're welcome. And everybody go and support the brother. He's doing good work out here, helping to lift the vibration of the planet. You know, we have to be the counterculture of our reality within the matrix, because there's always a concerted effort to keep us sick, to keep us misinformed, to keep us entertained and distracted with things that really don't matter, you know, like with, you know, keeping up with the Kardashians, all these reality TV shows, all these things that we think matters, but it really doesn't at the end of the day. And it's degenerating us. It's degenerating us mentally. It messes with our self-esteem because there's all these unrealistic expectations of what beauty is and all of that. But a lot of it is ultimately superficial. It's not real. It's not natural. So let's support people who make it their mission to make us better, you know, by providing products that help to heal ourselves and cleanse our bodies and all of the good things. So definitely promote the message, go on the website, get the natural living hoodie. You know, it's hoodie season now, at least up here in the East Coast. You know, get some sea moss, super high quality. Keep an eye out on the herbs to come. And he actually is like a really eloquent writer. So go follow his content and keep an eye out on the book. And I guess we will close it there. Everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. You know, I love you all. I appreciate you all. Thanks for tuning in on the Betterism Podcast. I have another great guest who will be attending this upcoming Saturday, next Saturday at 8 p.m. It's going to be a treat. And have a wonderful evening, everyone. I love you. Bye.
Peace, y'all.